It's Stephanie, and it's Steven, and it's Tabletastic too. Yay!
Yay.
We've told you about this. This is the book Tabletastic 2 by Dan Leko. And you guys picked from the selections we gave you the pattern you wanted us to do, and it is called the Churchill. And we're going to start that today. And Stephanie is showing you what it looks like when it's finished. And if you look behind her and you look behind me, you will see our versions of it, the colors we're going to be using as well. Now, if you look at Stephanie, what did you use for yours? Because it's very different
Um,
from mine.
yeah, I use actually the funny thing is that I was looking at fabrics. I had pulled some grunge and I realized they were the exact same colors as Stevens. That means we both have good taste, I suppose.
Yes, I
So
think so.
I thought, well, maybe one of us should do this in a different colorway. So I had this Christmas fabric that you can see down here on my mat. Um, I had this fat quarter bundle, so I thought, oh, let me try this in Christmas fabric. So it's all Christmas fabric.
Yeah. And I think it looks fantastic in
Thank
Christmas
you.
fabric. In fact, I wish I'd thought of that beforehand. Who knows? Maybe I'll make two of these at some
Ew.
point. But yes, Stephanie has all her fabrics on her cutting mat down there. But just a couple of things about the technology here. You'll notice we have 6 screens going. And I don't know about Stephanie, but I know about me. I am bound to get mixed up on these screens. So we're going to leave the 6 screens across. So the ones you see on the top row have the book, they have me, and they have Stephanie. I will disappear from this screen. It'll still be up, but I'll be moving down to my sewing machine and to my cutting table. And Stephanie's got hers, the two combined. I'm not that flexible to be able to do that. So I'm going to move over and you'll just see my hands in this stage of it, but I'm going to move over in a second to my cutting mat. But before we do that, we'll just show you as a reminder for those of you that have the book, and you have to have the book to be doing this because you won't be able to follow it. I'm just going to do a little quickie screen share here and show you the instruction page. And there it is. And what we're working on today is step 1 over in the left-hand column. And we're going to work through A, B, and C. And the end result of today's session is this at the bottom, this rectangular piece with the diamond in the center of it. So that's what we're working towards today. And as we do this, we'll talk about any of the problems we may have been having with this. And I just realized I don't have my studio lights on, so you can
Oh.
see my smiley little face. And yeah, see, right off the bat, technical problems. Okay, there we go.
Uh,
That's a little brighter. And yeah, so I'm going to move over to my pieces and we're going to talk about what you have to do first. So
all right.
I am over here. Here's my hands. You can see them. So, Stephanie, right off the bat, what you're supposed to do is have these pieces cut and labeled and
Yes.
background, and then an E and an H piece. And before we got started on this, we both decided on our colors for what these each represent. Um,
Hmm.
and we had to cut 8 B's, 8 E's, 8 H's, and these measure, what was it? What did they measure? Two,
4 by 2 1/4.
yeah, 4 by 2 1/4. Yes, this pattern does deal with quarter inches, people, but
Yeah.
not eighths. So quarter inches we can handle.
Yes.
And you can see here, I have mine laid out, and you have to put an H piece on top of an E piece, and you're supposed to line it up with your top left corner and along the left edge, and then draw rented lips, draw a diagonal line this way. Now, this gave me a problem. Okay. Generally speaking, when you do something like half square triangulars of that, at least I do, I usually go from the top left down to, let me put my finger this way. Oops, over here. Top left down to here, because you can see the edge here, but you can't see the edge here. So how do I get around that? Well, I kind of lift up the fabric that's here. You see I've clipped it, and I find where that little corner piece is, and I take my marking tool and I put a little dot, and then that's how I know where to draw the line. And here's the other problem I have. I'm using batiks and they're dark. And if I used a pencil, you don't see the line. So I had to use a chalk marker. And I don't know about you, Stephanie, but I have yet to find a chalk marker that gives me a fine enough line
Yes.
that, or and they break. They break very easily. That's how I
Yeah.
mark them though. How do you do it? Because I know you do it differently.
Well, yeah, I use a friction pen, and I know there's a lot of controversy with friction pens, but this is on the back, so it's not going to show up for that reason, because you're right, the chalk markers leave like a wider line, and then that can make your sewing a little bit off. So another way you can mark this though is if you put your piece on top, like I have this background one here on top of my main fabric. For in this case, my main is going to be this red. You can actually measure down the piece that's on top 2¼ inches, which is the width of this piece, put a dot like Stephen was saying, and then from there you can draw your line up to the corner.
Hmm.
So if you go down 2¼ inches, you can put a dot and then take your ruler here and then draw a diagonal line from that to the corner.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that method a little better.
So yeah, just like that.
So I have another question before we go to the sewing machine with these.
Sure.
And it involves the getting, what we're going to be doing is sewing along that line, and then we're going to be trimming 1/4 of an inch away from that line and then pressing your piece over, okay? And I don't know if that's what they consider the flip and sew method or something like that. But sometimes when you do that, when you flip your piece over, it doesn't line up perfectly. And I
Mhm.
know I've heard people say that if you sew on just a little bit, like a thread's width, and this is where I don't know, do you sew a thread's width on this side of the line or on the side closest to the point to make sure that it folds over nicely?
So on the side that you are not cutting off, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense. So
So in this case, it would be on the right hand side of the line. Yeah.
right. Just because sometimes I know when I do this, if I'm sewing right on the line, and again, this is because the chalk marker tends to be a little thicker,
Mhm.
then when I fold it over, I might not quite make it. There might be a little piece hair, like a 1/8 of an inch, 16th of an inch, and that can make your piece go a little wonky. Uh,
Yeah.
so, okay, that's
Well,
good.
the other tip I can say too is that after we sew this, we're going to trim it, right?
Right.
So what you might want to do is press it first and then trim it, because once you trim it, you do get more stretchiness up there, and that can also distort your piece and make it look like it's not lining up.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we ready to go to the machine and sew our these pieces?
Yes.
Okay. You'll probably be done this faster than me because you sew at the speed of light.
Well, except that I didn't pin mine ahead of time like you did, and I should have, because they're moving. So
Oh, I have to do that because
yeah.
mine would be completely crooked if I did not. And I love using Wonder Clips for this. I sometimes use pins though too. It depends. Okay, so I've got those sewn. Separate my chain.
So you guys know that I'm not a pinner if you've watched me at all for the longest time, but for these I would definitely clip or pin, just to, because they are kind of a weird, like Stephen was saying, we do flying geese a lot. We do half square triangles, but these are kind of like reverse flying geese.
Yeah.
So they can move really easily on you.
So your suggestion then is before I cut this off on the line, press it over and then do it.
Yes.
Okay. And I suppose it's probably a good idea to do a little finger pressing too.
And also that way you'll be able to see if it doesn't line up, you can fix it before you cut it.
Yes. So I'm just finger pressing. Okay, that one is not good. Okay, pull that one back. Okay. Oh well, that one won't work. It'll work. It'll do. All right. Take it to the pressing thing. I'm going to go off camera for a second because I don't have a camera on my pressing mat.
No worries.
Now I'm pressing to, I can't remember in the instructions whether they gave you instructions for which way to press.
They did, and those you kind of need to pay attention to make the two sets of pieces nest. So,
Okay, so it wants me to press, and I press them the wrong way, but I'll press them back after I.
or if you've already pressed those ones that way, you can press the next set the opposite as long as you do the same on the other.
Yeah, true. Okay. So now that I have them pressed, I'm going to cut that piece away, which when I did the one that's up on my wall, I didn't do it in this order. Before I pressed them, I trimmed them, but in this as according to what we just talked about. And it's a 1/4 inch away from the line. So get my ruler out here. I also found you do want to be careful when you are pressing these because they might stretch on you if you're too aggressive.
Yes.
Okay, that looks pretty good. My 4 on here. So I'm just going to lay it out. How are you coming?
Coming. You have all 8 of yours done already?
Oh no, I don't have 8.
Oh, I was like, wow, you're fast.
No. Well, we're only making 4 of these units to start with. Then we change over to the background. Which order were you doing it in? Were you
Oh,
doing,
shucks, I didn't think about that. I was doing like all of the same ones going the same direction for both colors.
oh, you can't, well, you can do that. So I don't want to get
Okay.
far ahead here. I'll let you catch up as I review the instructions for the next part involving H. Now, of course, when you're doing this, depending on your fabric, it is right sides together. I guess that goes without saying, but then again, but I'm using batiks. So,
Oh, yes, yours don't matter.
yep, I don't have to worry about that. It's just one less thing to
Yeah.
be concerned about.
Oh, grab my iron.
Someday I will find the perfect marking tool.
Oh,
It drives me, I'm always on the search. I mean, if I was using regular fabric, if I wasn't using batiks, well, even still, if I was using darker fabric, though, I'd still have the same problem. So,
Hmm.
being my line.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to press these. I'm going to be really careful not to stretch this piece here.
Yeah.
It'd be really easy to stretch this guy.
Yes, and I did it on the first one that I made. I had to do a couple over because I stretched them.
Yeah. It's not hard to do with these kind of pieces. All right. Those came out really nicely. So now if you've done what I did and left that piece on and ironed first,
Yeah.
now I just flip it back open
And cut it.
and cut it off there.
Yeah, I think I like that method better than cutting it.
It really helps with this, minimize the stretching. I mean, you still have to be careful, but plus, like you said, this is kind of difficult to get these just in the right spot. So if you missed, then you can go back and you don't
Yeah,
have to cut a whole new piece of fabric because you haven't cut it yet.
I think in putting this, excuse me, together, I think
Mhm.
this is actually the hardest step.
Yeah,
Because of the
I agree.
stretch and that, making sure that things don't come out wonky.
Yeah. All right. So there's those.
So now I've already drawn the line on mine for the next part with the opposite corner.
Okay.
And according to instructions, it's doing it just the same as we just did, except you're putting your uh, H fabric on top of the right end of your E fabric, and you're drawing your line from the center across to the bottom right hand corner.
Right. And then you're gonna, as you guys can see, it'll make sort of like a flying geese, but just a long flying geese looking thing.
So I'm going to take mine over to my sewing machine and start sewing on that line.
I'm gonna pin mine together and then we'll sew.
I like to drop my needle before I put the, the fabric under it so I can
Mhm.
see exactly where it lines up on the edge. And I also find that sometimes, depending on the fabric and whatever, it'll suck your, how it'll suck your fabric corner down into the
Mhm.
machine. This usually avoids that. If it doesn't, then I just use a little piece of scrap
A starter, yeah.
starter for it. I suppose this is where some of that, what do they call that tape you can put on your sewing machine to line pieces up might come in handy. I've tried using that, but I've never had a lot of luck with it.
Oh, really? Yeah, I have it on my machine. I love it. It's one of those products I think people either really like or they just
Yeah.
don't, you know,
I
and
just
that's okay.
never get used to using it for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got, ooh, that one. What happened there? Ooh, that one's very wonky. Hmm, I may have to rip that one out.
All right.
I had one here that's was definitely off, so I'm
Yeah.
redoing it.
I had one that I drew my line. I don't know what I was thinking, so I was glad I had that tape on my machine. I was like, wow, I got really off drawing that one. All right. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did before and press these carefully and wait to turn them until after they're pressed. And I did the same thing as you as I just realized that I ironed mine the wrong way against the diagram. So I'm just going to flip which way I iron them.
Yeah, I get very confused on things like that have like angles on them. I am geometrically challenged. Okay, that's still a little weird, but
As long as we do the next set in the same way we ironed these, it's fine.
so that means that one's going out, so that one has to go in. Okay. So if I do, okay, now I'm lost. How's that work? Where's the book? Okay, that one's with that one in. Okay, so this one's got to go the opposite way. Okay, let's see how this works. I may have to repress.
So definitely don't watch us pressing. Make sure you watch the book or follow the book.
Yeah.
Or if you did press like I did, make sure on the next set of pieces you press the same way that you press these. So I pressed this one out instead of in. And so then I did this one in instead of out. So on the next set of pieces, I'm gonna have to make sure I do it the exact same way.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that's right. I think I'm okay. Ooh, am I ever wonky on this piece though? How would that? Oh, well, I didn't do a good job pressing it. That's why. That's better. All in the direction. Okay, this piece is how'd that happen? I am not a good presser on things like this.
Mhm. Well, like you said, I think this is the hardest step of the whole thing. So
Yeah. Okay. So those 4 strips done. And that's all of step A in step A part of step 1. So the next one is done in a similar fashion, except you're using your B pieces, which are background, and you're using E again. And we want to make 4 of these units too. So put my E's down first. My B's. Now this is my background is not batik. It's a white with a light gray dot. So I have to make sure that this one, I definitely put the right side down.
Mm.
But one advantage now is I can use my pencil to draw those.
Because you can see it, yeah.
We're very quiet because we're concentrating. At least I am. Okay, I got my lines drawn on these, so we'll go over here to.
What's that?
I've got my lines drawn on the background piece, the first side.
Awesome.
So
Okay, let's see here. Let me go back and trim these guys. I forgot to do that. And if you're a scrap person, there's some like little pieces you can turn into tiny little half square triangles.
yeah, that would drive me mental. I used to save every little scrap when I first got into quilting.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, if it's less than 4 inches, 3 inches, I toss it.
Yeah, these would be real tiny, like 1 inch half square triangles.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do well with little pieces. It's like those Art East patterns.
Yeah.
I mean, they're well written instructions and everything with it. No complaint there. And the end product is beautiful, but it drives me mad.
Oh yeah. They you have to have the patience for those for sure.
And I don't.
Yeah. I do like them too, but yeah, it's a lot of patience. And those pieces are so little, if you cut them too far ahead of time, you might lose them because they're easy to lose.
Yeah. Other way. No, I'll do it that and then I'll come back. Another one that I've kind of blown here. How I did that, don't know.
All right, so I've got all of these guys made. So now I'm going to finish making these ones. So I've got to pin him onto here. Definitely pin because I did one without pinning and I had to go back and fix it. So
yeah, I tried doing that too without, and I just nope, it was sliding around too much.
yep. And believe me, if I'm telling you to pin, you need the pinner clip because I'm not a pinner.
I used to be like that when I first got into it, but now I'm, well, more of a clipper than a pinner. But now, yeah, I definitely need to pin things. Okay, let us try this again, shall we? With feeling.
All right, pin those. Now we're going to sew here, top left, bottom right.
Did on this one. No, better. I can live with it. So this time I'm doing it slightly different. See if how this works for me. I finger press them over, but now before I take them right to the iron, I'm just cutting off my little piece. That's the way my brain works. I get all screwed up doing it the other way. I don't know. I'm geometrically challenged.
Mhm. Now, did you chain piece yours
Yes,
or
I
did you
did.
just do one at a time?
Nope, I chain pieced. Yeah. If I can chain piece, I will. Okay. These ones I got pressed the right way this time, which means I may have to adjust the other ones. Should probably do that now that I know which way, but I probably can't, can I? No, I can't. Okay. Well, there'll be a little fudge in here. And that's not beneath me to do the fudgy thing. So, let's see. Right? Where did I put? Oh, that was smart of me. I thought I was being so smart. I worked ahead before we went to camera today, and I forgot I had these other pieces already that we just did all
Oh,
lined up and done. So now I don't have enough background ones, so I had to take them off that, and I'm going to have to draw the line again the other way. Well, no big deal. This is real, people. This is how I work on a normal basis.
You know, it is what it is. We're real people.
Yep.
Sure, there's people out there that make the same mistakes that we're making.
I like to think so.
This guy.
Well, you know, everybody has their own way of working on things, and
Absolutely.
if it's working, you know, do it.
Yeah. That's kind of the fun of quilting because I know there's certain ways you're supposed to do things, but sometimes you can find a way that works best for your brain.
Yep. I really hate it when I'm watching an instructional video on YouTube where they say you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I guess I'm the kind of person I don't take orders well. So
No, say it ain't so.
really, would you ever think that? No. And when somebody tells me this is the way it has to be, and okay, yeah, if that works for my brain and I see yes exactly what they're saying and why, then yeah, I'll follow it. But if I can find another way that works for me, I'll do it. You know, it's like there's
Yeah.
1 million ways to make half square triangles, you know.
Yep.
Pick the one that works for you.
I agree.
Okay, I've got those marked. So back to the sewing machine.
Okay. So I've got all my pieces made, both sets. You need 4 of each. And then we're going to put them together as you see here. So eventually these are going to join and the reds are going to make a square inside this rectangle. So, but Stephen is still working on his pieces, so we'll wait for him.
It said that you sew at the speed of light.
So we're going to go to this step next. So this next part, the reason why they tell you to press in opposite directions is so when you put these two together, the seams here and here can nest really well. So I'm going to start by pinning these while I'm waiting for Stephen here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lay one on top of the other. And this seam is going this way and this one's going the opposite. So I'm just going to make sure right there that they're touching and they're right up against each other, and I'm going to pin. You don't want these guys to come apart here. And the same thing on this side. They should be going opposite directions if you press them according to the diagram, not according to Stephen and Stephanie.
Yeah. Do what we say, not what we do.
Right? Well, I still pressed them opposite. I just didn't press them opposite of what the book showed because I did it.
Yeah.
We naturally press a certain way, and that's what I did. I didn't look at the book. I should have.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what happened to me on when I did the first block. I didn't really pay attention to what they were saying in the book, although it worked out okay. You can make it work.
Yes, you can.
It's just easier if you do it the way they tell you to do it.
Uh-huh.
But nothing's easy in my life because I do the simplest things with the greatest complexity. It's my trademark.
That's all right.
That's why I am the idiot quilter.
Yeah, but who's to say if you hadn't come along first and invented it yourself that everybody wouldn't be doing it your way?
Probably, but that's not the way. Yeah, I'm just trimming my pieces with the background on it now.
It's okay. I'm very slow pinner. I'm going very slow so I don't prick myself and bleed on this fabric.
Yes. All right. So now let's do one of these. Make sure I have it in the right orientation. Line up the edges properly. I do have a tendency probably to almost over clip.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather over clip and it comes out the way it's supposed to than under clip it and it slides on me and then I gotta rip it out and do it again.
Oh, sure.
It's kind of like woodworking, you know, measure twice, cut once.
Mm-hmm.
Got two of them clipped. I'm going to sew these two first just to make sure I'm on the right track.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, so then my sewing machine decides to unthread it.
So then once you've got these all pinned, you're going to want to take this over to the sewing machine and do a 1/4 inch all the way down your seam here.
Scissors.
No points to lose here. You just need to make sure that you've got those areas lined up so that your square looks like a square.
Right machine, let's get you threaded properly here. A little butter. Okay, why are you not cooperating with me? Okay.
All right, let's see if I did that right. There we go. So there's our square inside the rectangle. I've got 3 more of those to make.
Now the moment of truth here. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Let's press those. Now, did they tell you a certain way to press these long pieces? Yeah, they want you to press it towards unit A.
Yes.
Okay.
So the non-background unit.
Yeah. Okay, those two turned out pretty good.
Oh, those look really nice, Stephen.
So, okay, so two more. Tendency to go off camera here. Remember where my sight lines are.
So like Stephen was saying, it says depress towards unit A, which is the non-background unit. So in my case, it's the green and the red. Oops, sorry, hit the camera. Don't get seasick.
No throwing up on fabric. Leaves a terrible mess. Those two pieces clip, so over to the sewing machine. Let's move some of these out of my way.
Now, Stephen, are you gonna make a quilt? Excuse me. Are you gonna make a quilt out of yours, or a table runner, or what are you gonna do out of yours?
I am going to make mine into a quilt.
Okay.
I don't know how big yet. It depends. These blocks, these ones we're working on right now, the whole thing, it comes out to about a 20 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good if you used four of them, two across, two down. I might, though, lately every quilt that I've made has come out square. And I could do it two across, three down. So that would be six of these blocks. And then if
Mm-hmm.
I add a small inner border and then a wider outer border, that might make it, well, I would probably put it up to about 50 inches by 60, 50, 60, 65, something like that, which isn't a bad size. I
Yeah,
don't,
that's a pretty good size.
but I definitely know that I want to make it into a quilt, not a table runner.
Yeah, same here.
And you know,
Just haven't decided how many I want to do yet.
yeah. And once you've done one of the blocks, it goes by. When you start making the next blocks, it's pretty fast because you can lay
Yeah.
everything out, get it all, and just almost assembly line.
So here's my blocks, all four. You're gonna have four of these per block. So if you're making multiple blocks like Steven and I are, you're gonna have more of these, but I'm working from a fat quarter bundle, so each of my blocks is gonna use the fabrics, but they'll be different. So
Yeah,
if you're using yardage, you'll want to make more of these if you're gonna
yeah. And you
the whole
could like make each one a slightly different like combination of colors if you wanted to.
Mhm. Oh
I,
yeah.
I'm sticking to them being all the same, but
Yeah. I'm not a scrap quilter, but probably if you're a scrap quilter, you could do them all scrappy.
yeah. So I've got my 4 units now done.
Oh, yours are so pretty.
And be sure to label, people, because labeling will save you a lot of grief. So I've got my
Yep.
4 all done here.
Lovely.
And
So these are now, like Stephen was saying, labeled Unit C now that their pieces are together.
yes. Okay. Worked out okay.
Hmm.
Might be a little wonky on one of them, but it'll quilt out.
That's right.
Uh,
I think they look fabulous. I love your colors.
Yeah, I really like this color. This wasn't what I was going to start with. I'm going to move over to the other computer now.
Hmm.
And was just doing this as a like a sample to see how it went together, and I grabbed those colors, and actually I wasn't going to carry on with that color scheme, but then Walter looked at it and he said, "Oh, I really like that." And I went,
Mm.
"Okay, sold. That's the one I'm using then." Well, because he likes it, I'm going with it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
that took us through the first step. So in our next
Yep.
session, we're doing step number two. Are we combining step number two with step number three?
Yes. So
In the
our next get together, Stephen and I are gonna sew step number 2 and step number 3 because they kind of go together.
Yeah,
Yeah. So look for that next.
that's our next session. So any parting words?
No, thanks for sewing with me. This was fun. I
This was
love
fun.
yours.
Yeah, I love what I love the Christmas fabric ones. It's almost making me think that I might want to do a second one in Christmas fabrics. I don't know. We'll see. I don't
I'm just getting
usually
a head
do.
start on Christmas.
Yeah, well, that's I'm starting to think that too. Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, I hope that our instructions helped you along the way as well. And yeah, next time we're moving on to the next steps. So thanks for joining us today, everybody, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye.
Have a great day.